welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today I'm doing a review and eye swatches of the Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves eyeshadow palette. Alright, so yes, today we are doing a review on this palette. It's been out for a while. It's just something that's always been like on the back of my list of things to get. So my husband actually got this for me for my birthday a few weeks ago. So I'm excited to really get into this palette, to dive in, let you guys know my thoughts, do some swatches for you guys so you guys can see if this is something you might be interested in picking up. I know their Sienna palette is super popular, but I've been really into Dusty Rose and Mauve vibes for about the last year now, and I'm really happy to have found a cool tone palette because everything nowadays is so warm tone, so I was definitely feeling this. So a quick background on this palette: it does retail for $32. You can get this on doseofcolors.com, you can get it at Ulta. I don't know if they have it in stores. It might be something you can only order online from Ulta. I do have a $10 off coupon that I will have linked down below if you guys are interested. And then Sephora, do they carry Dose of Colors? I don't know, I don't have my phone so I can't check it out, but yes. My only other experience so far with Dose of Colors was the Desi and Katie collection. I got the entire collection from them. So yeah, I'm not super familiar with their normal eyeshadows, so I was really excited and interested to get into this. So like I mentioned, this is a cool tone eyeshadow palette. It is all matte shades, so you do get 5 eyeshadows in here.
The palette also includes this double-ended brush.
And these shadows are talc-free, paraben-free, and it is cruelty-free, which is always great to have. And online they describe the shadows as soft and buttery. Before I jump into the eye swatches for this makeup look, I did use this palette to create it. If you're interested in a tutorial, I will be doing 3 looks using 1 palette with this. It'll be in the next video out. So make sure that you subscribe to my channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on it. I started this series, doing the series on my channel last week with the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. So if you're interested in that, there will be a link up above and also down below, and I do have a review on that palette as well. So let's go ahead and get into swatches. If you're new to my channel, I prefer to do eye swatches because I'm actually going to blend these shadows out on my eye, because we can stare at swatches on our hands or our arms all day. It doesn't really tell much about how the palette is going to perform. So to give you guys an idea if this is something you want to invest your money in, I prefer to do eye swatches to show you how the colors actually act when they're being used for what they're intended for. So I just take a base of concealer, set it with a powder, and then I go to blend out my shadows. So let's roll into that clip now. Fluffy is a milky pale pink matte shadow.
This is the ideal highlight shadow in this palette. Of course, it's not probably meant for your brow bone on most day-to-day occasions, but it is a really nice pale shadow. It applied really nicely with a packer brush, and it also blended out really nicely into the crease.
Rosy is a light rosy pink matte shadow.
Typically, you don't apply eyeshadows with your fingers, especially matte ones, but I still wanted to show you guys how even the payoff is with these shadows from a finger swatch being transferred to my lid, and then also using the shader brush. It's pretty consistent and even throughout. And then this color, again, blended out really nicely into the crease. You are definitely able to build these up. As you could see, it blended out pretty nice, and if you wanted to make it opaque, you can just go in with a second layer like I did. And I'm just really impressed with these shadows so far. As you can see, they're not patchy, they apply really evenly.
Wishy Washy is a dusty mauve matte shadow.
Again, this shadow had really great payoff just using my finger, and then now going in with the brush. These shadows definitely pick up a lot of pigment and they're definitely powdery. So the best way to work with them is to pick up what you need and then make sure you definitely tap off the extra, because then it'll be easier and it'll be more smooth to blend instead of it being a little bit patchy and difficult how it just was. And here you can see in my crease there's definitely a disconnect between where I laid the color down to where my lid is. So I just had to go in and work a little bit more, and then once I brought in a second layer of that color, it definitely connected together. So just keep that in mind with these eyeshadows.
Spaced Out is a muted berry mauve matte shadow.
I could tell right away from picking it up with my finger that it was definitely a drier shadow for this one. Definitely not as soft and buttery as the other ones that, you know, the website described all the shadows to be. This one is definitely on the finicky side. It is quite a dry formula, like I said. So it can be a little bit patchy. You definitely have to work with this one a little bit more. It's not as easy or as flawless of a blend, but you can definitely build up the opaqueness by layering. And then you guys will see in just a moment here how when I put this into my crease, it is a little bit on the patchy side. I definitely had to finesse it a lot to get it to look decent. This color also transferred to my lower lash line, so just be really careful working with it. And here you can definitely see the difference, how the color I just applied is more patchy looking out in my blended area than the other shadow, but you can still get it to look decent if you just take your time with it. And also, now that I've had some time to work with the shadows, it does layer nicely on top of other colors, and I really didn't have to work that hard blending it out into other eyeshadow.
Weinstein is a blackberry matte shadow.
This one is right in between the first three shadows and the last one that we just swatched. It's not quite as dry and patchy as Spaced Out, and it's definitely a lot smoother and blends a lot easier, as you can see, but it's just not quite the same formula as the first three shadows, which is to be expected. I think like the darker the shadow, the little bit of a harder time you have blending things out, or a little bit more patchy they may look just because of the pigment in there. But I don't think that this shadow did a terrible job of blending out. As you can see, we ran into a similar problem that we had with Wishy Washy, the third color, where it's laying down where I'm dragging the brush across. It's just not spreading out and filling in certain areas. But once I go back into a second dip, it totally covers everything and everything looks okay. So that's not a deal breaker for me personally. And for this being a deep wine shade, I thought it blended out really nice. A lot of times with darker shadows, they can get really patchy, and I thought that this did a good job of blending out. So I wasn't really disappointed with any of the colors in this palette. It's just that Spaced Out was just a little bit more on the drier side, but I think that's just because red shadows are difficult to perfect. Applying all these shadows, there was virtually like no fallout with the exception of the last shade, Spaced Out. And you can see here how powdery the first three shades are. But like I said, if you tap off the extra, you're not going to get that fallout on your face.
All right, everyone, so I'm here to wrap up the review on this palette. I just finished filming my 3 looks with 1 palette video. So that will be the next video up on my channel. If you don't want to miss it, make sure you subscribe, and also make sure you turn on the notification bell. YouTube is being tricky now where they're not notifying everyone of videos if they don't have the notifications on, which is super annoying because if you're subscribed to a channel, obviously you want to see their content. I don't understand you, YouTube. But anyways, that will be the next video out. So I have done 3 looks. I've worn them throughout the day, so I feel like I have a pretty good feel on this palette and my thoughts on it, as I just like dug my hand to the palette. That's always fun to do. So the shadows, I really like the quality of them. They're super pigmented. You don't really have to work a lot to get payoff. They blend out really nice. The only downside that some people may have is that they are quite powdery, especially these first 3 shades have quite a bit of fallout. For me, that's not something that's gonna make me not wanna use it or like make me return it. For me, it just means that I really have to be careful with my brushes, barely tapping in, tapping off any extra to avoid fallout on your face. That's the only thing that you really have to worry about with this palette. Other than that, it's super easy and like user friendly. I think that you can create a variety of looks with the 5 shadows, which you'll see in my 3 looks 1 palette video. I'm really happy with this. I personally love a good cool tone palette, and I love the dusty rose and mauve trend that's been going on. My only issue is saying if it's worth $32. I don't know if I can say it's worth it for $32 because I would expect to have more shadows for $32. I think like if it was like $23, I would be like, yes, all about it, buy it. I know that this was just on sale for 50% off on Ulta, so I think that if there's a sale coming up, this would be something really great to put in your cart to add to your collection, especially if you want more of these colors. Unless if like you truly are a die-hard mauve fan and you really, really want a palette like this, then that could be totally worth it if you don't have anything else in your collection like this. But for $32 for 5 eyeshadows, I'm a little bit on the fence about it because you can get a lot of palettes with 10 colors for 40 bucks. So it's just, the price is the only thing that I'm not a fan of when it comes to this entire palette. Oh, I also wasn't a huge fan of the brush that this came with. It's super fluffy, so even though it's small and precise, it can be good to getting into like really like hard to reach areas. It just kind of flings the product around because the bristles are just so like overly fluffy, if that makes sense. So I don't know how much use I'll be getting out of this brush. Anyways, that is going to wrap it up for the review on the Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves palette. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Like I said, with YouTube and the algorithm now, it really is useful for me to get my videos out there. If you guys are giving me thumbs up, if you guys are leaving me comments, any little bit will help to broaden this video to other audiences. So I would really appreciate that. Let me know in the comments below if you would purchase this, if you have any of the Dose of Colors eyeshadows, what your thoughts and opinions are. Would you consider getting this? Let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.